oh, you must wake up in the morning and say, thank God for my amazing things that are happening. And you said, why would I say thank God? I'm an atheist.
Right.
And it was the first time I'd heard the word atheist on kind of public radio.
Well, I mean, yeah, there shouldn't even be the word, should there? If people didn't invent gods, I wouldn't have to deny them. And it's just... but it's like... I was told when I sort of started breaking America to not mention I was an atheist.
Really?
Oh, 'cause first thing I did. On every first thing I did. Why? What am I going to lose? Imagine not doing something because people hate you because of what you are. That's you know, that's my only thing I've got. I'm a white, rich, middle-class man, but at least I'm hated for being an atheist. Do you know what I mean?
And, have you
I'm oppressed. I'm oppressed in 13 countries I'd never go to anyway.
Have you seen a change in your, over the last, I don't know, 20 years or so, about how atheism is perceived?
Well, I mean, you sort of do it. There's part of me that does it because I think I should, that there is someone being persecuted now that might, you know, I can't change the world, but what I mean, maybe someone in a Western world that thinks they shouldn't come out because it's a bad thing. Because it's still a bad thing in Western society. In America, they took a vote, America, right? Probably that big bit in the middle of America, but we were voted least trustworthy group, joint bottom with rapists. So there's still a thing about, I better not say I'm an atheist, it'll annoy my mum or dad or granddad or school. There's still that. So you do that. Some of it I do it as an intellectual pursuit, because someone asks me a question, I'd rather give the right answer than the wrong answer. I'd rather tell the truth than lie, because it's easier, you know. I think the big thing, people think I run into churches and go, it's all fucking bollocks. I don't care, you know, but if I'm asked if I believe in God, I'll say no. I mean, you know, the tricky one is, I did a film called The Invention of Lying, where I did a scene where thank you, 7 people saw that film, where my mother in that is dying, and it's because I'm the only person in the society who can lie. She says, I don't want to go to nothingness, and I go, there's not nothingness, it's a beautiful place you go, and you're young again, and I invent heaven, right? And that comes from the fact that when my mum was dying, I did face a dilemma. If she'd have said, do you think there's a God? That's a personal thing, and that's you know. So I just try and be honest, really. And the other is, if someone else's kid, 5-year-old, asks me, do I believe in God? I sort of think, what should I say here? And I say, well, I don't, but a lot of people do. What do you think? You know, I try and there's still a level of diplomacy. It's not always my place. You know what I mean? Mm. I don't. But you know, my house, my rules. If someone asks me something on Twitter, I tell them the truth. Because, you know.
And there's also this strange thing that I get from faithful people. Why don't you believe in God? Well, that's a very strange question. Why don't you believe in God? Well, you came up with it. Why would I? As to saying I don't know, well, if you're agnostic about God in all his glory and in all his impossibility, you've got to be the same about Santa. You have got to say, I don't know. I want to say to an agnostic, what's your best guess there? Go on, have a punt. In fact, I don't ask agnostic. I don't say to agnostics, is there a God? I say, do you believe in God? Now, you can't say I don't know to that question, because if you say I don't know, you're an idiot. What you don't know if you believe or not. And I had this discussion with someone on Twitter, actually, and he said, well, that's not true, because I can ask you, am I wearing a red jumper? And you have no way of informing your guess. And that's true. But now ask me if you're wearing a red jumper that created the universe. Now I can have a little guess. No. No, you are not. It's mental.
Well, also for you, because anyone who follows you on Twitter, and you have a huge following, they'll know that you are a pathological atheist, and therefore the thought of death is very final for you. And for me, as a good Irish Catholic boy, it's the start of something new and glorious. For you, that's it.
For me, it's the end of something glorious, so I have to pack it all in. But, you know, I'm not depressed about it. I don't want to die any more than anyone else. And I think there's this strange myth that atheists have nothing to live for. It's the opposite. We have nothing to die for.
You have more to live for.
We have everything to live for.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would imagine you have a more focused attention to life because you think it ends when you die.
I think it's precious. I think it's beautiful. I think the world is amazing. I love people, animals, art, every hobby. I can't believe my luck that I'm alive for these 70 or 80 years. Might be less. Wait, you know, I'm not long for this world. My nan used to say that. She lived till 83. I think it was 40 years we were going, I'm not long for this world.
What are you said the things you like. What are the things that really annoy you?
Only two things really, really make my blood boil, I suppose. I suppose in general, as I get older, injustice. Injustice quietly makes my blood boil. Either personal, social, political, you know, personal. I suppose the two main categories are religious intolerance, this arrogance that you think, you know, arguing over whose God is right sort of gets me down a little bit, you know. And I've got no problem with spirituality. I really haven't. You know, that's another myth. And I always try and make the difference clear between spirituality and religion. One is a very personal feeling, a journey, a hope, or whatever, a need, you know, a joy. And the other is an organised body that uses that for power and corruption in many cases. In many cases. And you know, I don't have either, but I suppose I think that when it affects me, that's when I have a say in it. And religion affects me. Religion's very real. Spirituality, it doesn't really affect me.
There's lots we don't know, but we don't jump to conclusions. We don't know everything about the brain, but that's not to say that everything about the brain is unknowable.
We rejoice in not knowing, not because we don't want to know, but because we've got something to work on.
Absolutely. That's why people do puzzles. It comes back to hobbies. You do a puzzle because you don't know the answer yet.
And scientists are doing puzzles trying to find out the answers to the nature of reality.
Absolutely. Of course, that's all we're doing. Science just tries to understand the world a bit more for its own ends.
And it's a wonderful process.
It's fantastic.
It's worth living for.
Because it should enhance mankind. You know, this ridiculous thing about science coming up with the atomic bomb. I don't know what argument that is. No. That's evil. Well, no. This other one as well. How many times have you heard someone say, some idiot fundamentalist say, well, Hitler was atheist?
Oh, God, yeah.
Well, it makes no difference.
Yeah.
There are good and bad atheists.
Yes.
There are good and bad people who believe in God. Yeah. But very few atheists kill in the name of atheism.
Exactly.
It's an irrelevance to me. I hate being labelled an atheist because it's not how I live my life. I don't live my life going around going, I'm an atheist, I'm an atheist.
No, exactly.
There's billions of other aspects to my life, why I do things. It just, when God's brought into the equation, I don't take that on board. I don't do anything because of God's watching me, or because I feel God owns anything, or God's driving me. You know, it's a strange word and it's a strange label.
It is. Hitler actually wasn't an atheist.
No, I know, he was a Catholic, wasn't he?
Yes. Stalin probably was an atheist, but neither of them did their good things or their bad things. Not they didn't.
Of course not.
Neither of them did their bad things because they believed or because they didn't believe in God.
No, of course not. Yeah. It was irrelevant. I remember. I thought, what were you on? Were you on a show in America when someone said, "Well, Stalin and Hitler were both atheists," and I think you said, "Well, they both had moustaches as well."
Yes.
It's just as relevant. A totally irrelevant statistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But you know, they're clutching at straws.
Yes.
They're clutching at straws. They don't like atheists. No. I mean, we're at the top of the tree. We're white, middle-aged Western men
but we blew it because we're atheists. So we're the most hated, oppressed people on the planet. You can't run for president if you're an atheist.
Well, you can, but you won't get in.
Oh, won't go, fine. Yeah, yeah. That's cut. That's wrong.
So we don't need God to be good.
We don't need God to be good, and even if we did, we haven't got him.
Quite right.
So there's
what
no
matters
point.
is what's true.
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't choose to live, but I love it.
Me too. Thank you very, very much.
My pleasure. Cheers.
Thank you.